Hey guys, this is going to be my fifth video going over my pulmonology clearance um, and a little bit of the approval phase. Pulmonary clearance was scheduled for the day after my surgeon's visit, which was on August the 22nd. That appointment consisted of going and speaking with the pulmonologist about history with reflux, asthma, and sleep apnea. I do have asthma and reflux pretty often. I've never actually taken any kind of medication for that. It's just, over the counter Tums or whatever was around. Um, he did go over, just to make sure I didn't have sleep apnea. He did go over, the symptoms, and I've never shown symptoms or signs or anything. So I was pretty clear on that. They basically try to or want to test you for sleep apnea just so they can tell if you need a CPAP machine for surgery or after surgery. So I was clear with that. I do have asthma, so he wanted to do a breathing test. That lasted about an hour, and I was exhausted after. Um, they took me into a room with the nurse, and we went just consistent breathing into a machine, seeing how far my lungs could expand, and if they were okay with anesthesia and how that would affect me. After that, it took a little bit of time. My lungs are really small for some reason. So they needed all my x-rays faxed over from my primary care physician just to make sure that they were big enough to go through this procedure, which they were. So he wrote me clearance and faxed it to my surgeon. I know that takes a little bit of time. I live about an hour and a half away from my surgeon. So it's not like they can just fax it over to another office. They actually have to, fax it to Atlanta, and sometimes, that can get crazy. That was, in fact, one of my biggest issues, trying to get everyone to fax it all into one place, making sure I had copies of everything. Things do get misplaced. People forget to fax over things, and so that was basically it for my pulmonology clearance. They did send over everything to my surgeon, and little to my knowledge, that was the last thing that my doctor needed specifically for my clearance, and they submitted. I didn't know that they submitted. They didn't give me any warning or anything. So they submitted on August the 22nd for insurance approval, which included everything. My medical clearance from my primary doctor, which included my height, weight, BMI, and current conditions being treated. As far as my specific condition, I didn't have any comorbidities except for high blood pressure, and that was, it's come up fairly often here. And then another thing was my psychological clearance, of course. That was included my nutrition evaluation, my pulmonary clearance, and lab work that they had scheduled me to do. That was easy to take care of. I didn't need a supervised diet with my approval, so I didn't have to worry about that. So they did send everything in, and Tuesday, I think it was September the 1st, I got a call from my surgeon's office saying, "You're approved." So it was very unexpected. I didn't know that they had already submitted. I didn't have time to call into the insurance company and bug them night and day. So that was such a shock and a surprise, and I was happy, and I was at work, and my coworkers were crying, and we had a big celebration, and it was great. So after that, they did schedule me for another appointment for my upper GI and for signing my consent for surgery. I went, I think it was September the 13th? Yeah, the 13th. The doctor went over everything that I needed for surgery as far as transfusions, if I had a will, things like that. Since I do live so far out of the Atlanta area, he did require that I stay there for a week just in case complications arise. And that's something that I hadn't planned on. So I'll have to take that into consideration. And went over, I'll have a private room and things like that. And then went over exactly how the procedure was going to be performed again. And it was really thorough and took his time. And then they gave me kind of a little quiz just to make sure that, I'd learned what I was supposed to learn through the pre-op phase, going through all my clearances, making sure that I had, the right expectations and the positive outlook that I needed to go through the surgery. And then I went to my upper GI appointment. That was scary. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. I tried to watch YouTube tutorials of people getting the upper GI done. So I went in with a complete open mind and positive thoughts. Nothing to eat or drink after midnight, of course. They took me into a room and had me undressed. I was wearing just a gown and underwear, and took me into the room and had me stand on kind of a platform against the x-ray board machine, whatever, and then put it snugly against me and asked me to drink a shot of a clear liquid, kind of tasted like Alka-Seltzer, kind of. They told me to drink it in one shot down, and right after you feel like you're going to burp it right back up. And they told me, don't burp, or we're going to reschedule. So I didn't burp. And after that, they give you your barium in your left hand and tell you to take a tiny sip. And after that sip, you can actually see on the TV screen how it's going down your esophagus into your stomach. And that was pretty cool. So I gulped that stuff. It wasn't horrible. I wouldn't drink it on a daily basis, but it wasn't terrible. So I drank that, and then they asked me to get off the platform and lay flat on the table after they lowered it. Once they lowered it, real quick, asked me to turn around, do different positions, and all while they were looking, taking pictures constantly. And then it was over as fast as it started. It took probably 5 minutes. After that, they told me to go enjoy breakfast, and it was over. So after that appointment, I knew that that was the end of the requirements. I had already been approved, went over my pre-op with my doctor, and just waited on my surgery date. So that's it for this video. I'll go over my surgery date and everything and when I got that and what I had to complete in a different video. So, bye guys. Thanks for watching.